Chayalei Tzahal, a song that has become even more popular over the last few weeks as we keep our brethren in the IDF in mind. Here we are in Israel. We've dedicated today's show once we had a change of itinerary and things were turned a little bit in a different direction for us during this trip. We dedicated today's show here at the Nefesh B'Nefesh headquarters to those organizations that have really stepped up over the last few weeks and have been amazing sources of support for families, for soldiers, for people in need in Israel, even more so than during regular times. So we'll meet some of those people this morning here on a Thursday at JMintheAM. Yossi Kaufman is here representing Yad Eliezer. His organization is well known to a lot of people in our audience. He's been a guest of ours before, and he and his organization had to step things up over the last few weeks. Yossi, welcome back to JMintheAM.
Thank you very much, Nachum.
Good to have you here. Describe what it was like once well, you know what, before we even talk about the war, tell our listeners and remind our listeners what Yad Eliezer does on a regular basis.
Well, Yad Eliezer now for over 30 years has been involved nationally as a major social service provider, helping families in Israel, individuals in Israel with a myriad of needs, with creative programming. As I always say, Yama, Kedma, Tzafana, Venegma, we're colorblind, both sides of the green line. We're to help Jews in Eretz Yisrael, be it boys, girls who are lacking a functioning parental role at home, families missing food packages, materna for children whose mothers can't nurse enough by enough formula, and they're at a critical age of growth and development.
In fact, I think the last time you were on, that was the major campaign at
Correct.
that time, right?
That's right.
How'd that go?
That went, thank God, very well. It's actually funny because as I'm privileged over time to hear your voice more and more and recognize I grew up in Canada, I apologize.
No problem.
Though Canada's a great place to grow up. And many people come to Yad Eliezer's warehouse and they'll see some of our different multimedia presentations. And as you recall, during one of our presentations on one of the wars we were involved with, people start hearing the video and look at me and they say, that's Nachum Segal.
There you go. I'm glad I was able to be of help. So those are some of the things you do on a regular basis. What happened once this war broke out? What role did Yad Eliezer play to step things up to help people?
Once this war broke out, Yad Eliezer met to see if there is a need. Meaning, thank God we are so involved throughout the year with so many projects and so many tens of thousands of individuals. We're not looking to, okay, let's expand further where there's no need.
Right.
We wanted to first clarify, justify that there is a need, there is a niche, and once that is the case, what is it? Define our ability to fill that niche, to fill that need, and then go further.
So what did you discover when the war broke out about that niche, about the needs that you could fill?
We discovered, thank God, that as opposed to a number of wars ago, when it came out that there were soldiers that simply had tremendous needs day to day,
right,
that the Army couldn't meet, which we filled then. Our issue at this point was being there for the soldiers as far as our boys, our kids, our neighbors are going to combat. They're going to combat in an incredibly dangerous area. And Yad Eliezer feels very strongly that if we can be there and provide that moral support and illustrate our care, our love for these people through that support, that's what we want to do. So what does that mean? It means everything from care packages to soldiers of the basic water, the treats, to underwear, undershirts, socks, battery chargers for their telephones in the field. As far as the soldiers are concerned, as far as the families are going through a horrific bombardment. Going out of the house is a danger. It's a challenge. We organized hundreds of packages that we delivered, our driver, our truck, down south for the families. But what about the children? There are children in bomb shelters. We went to visit Keitanot, summer camps for kids. You'd walk into the bomb shelter, and there was a sign with ribbons saying, "Welcome to Keitana, Leah, Miri. This is your summer Keitana."
That's where day camp was.
It was terrifying, and you'd walk downstairs into these tremendous bomb shelters. Living in the center of the country, used to walk into a building, you go down maybe one flight, there's a bomb shelter. The more you go down south, you're walking down 20 plus 30 stairs to be in a safe area. And you walk in, and there'd be children there, and there'd be ladies there running the program, and there'd be soldiers there supervising and for security. And all of a sudden we walked in, and we brought in thousands of dollars worth of board games. We called a supplier in Israel, and we said, we want to buy board games for these kids. They're going through bombardments and bomb shelters. And God bless our people. They gave us $50,000 of games for $25,000.
It's a good story, and people don't realize that normally under regular conditions they'd be out in the fields playing, right? I mean, we have really good weather here in Israel. They would not be confined to the indoors like some areas where they have rain and other things. This is usually a very outdoor country, especially during the summer.
This is summertime. This is where the kids want to go and run around, give the parents a little bit of a break. Children can go, children can play, and it was taken from them.
Right.
It was taken from the parents, and the stress of these sirens. I know in Beitar we had 3 or 4 sirens. I'll tell you, we're going to have, thank God my daughter just married a little while ago, and we're going to have Sheva Brachas in Ashdod by my brother. And
anybody familiar with the map knows that Ashdod's been a very challenging area.
Right. So I asked the Shiloh of Gadol B'Yisrael, and I was told he shouldn't go. So I called my sister-in-law, and the whole family, blessed them, we're very close, had prepared this beautiful Sheva Brachas. And I told her, and we were told not to go. And she lives through it, so she says to me, why? I said, you just had 50 sirens yesterday. And she, deadpan serious, says to me, I said, there weren't 50 sirens. Maybe there were 30.
That was she's willing to admit.
And she was being serious.
Right.
So we're going through those sirens and being down south, being in the bases, in the field. At one point, we were in Nachal Oz last Wednesday or Thursday. Nachal Oz is the army base that is 50 meters from Gaza. And as far as we were concerned, we had 3 gentlemen with us who came with us by Golden's Englewood mission, Ma'ava Torah. And we went down there, and I said, guys, going to this base, there's no schmoozing, there's no pictures, we're going in, and we're going out.
Deliver, help, and leave.
They have concrete barriers 20, 30 feet high there because they're getting hit by shrapnel, by RP, by patzmarim, by mortars, whatever it may be. We had a beautiful story a couple of weeks ago. We're in the field with a tank unit, and a man walks over to me, a very nice soldier, is an officer. He says, hello, my name is so-and-so. I'm the Rav of 40 tanks. Of these 40 tanks, 35, 36 tanks are right now in Gaza. I request to make of you. I said, what is it? He said, I would like for every tank to have a portable gas-operated hot water boiler so these tank soldiers in combat could have coffee. These guys were in tanks for a day, 2 at a time, easy. I said, B'ezrat Hashem, we'll see what we can do. I made a couple of phone calls. And I called them a day later, or 2 days later, I said, you know what? Make the order. And there are now 40 tanks that were serving inside Gaza. To thank God, the Rav approached us, and he gave us the ability to make that difference. And as far as we're concerned, being and showing the support for the soldiers, meeting them, the truck pulls up, coming with them, dancing with them, sharing with them. I wish I had pictures, more pictures, I have them, of the smiles of their faces, their appreciation.
Yossi Kaufman here from Yad Eliezer. What's interesting about that coffee story is that you never know what's going to happen. In other words, Yad Eliezer makes a commitment. You know, we're there, like many other organizations are. We're there to help. We're there, and you have no idea that this is going to be how you're going to come through. That now they're going to be able to stay more awake and alert because of you, because they're able to have coffee in the tank.
Really?
It's as simple as that. How do people support Yad Eliezer?
People support Yad Eliezer. Probably the easiest way is on the web. On our website. We also have an American office which does tremendous work.
What web address is?
www.yadeliezer.com.
Simple as that.
We try to make it easy.
And there people can see pictures and they can see about the work you've been doing?
There's a whole section devoted to our young men and women going to war. And what we're privileged as well to do. Rabbi Klimloff Meitz Chaim came with one of his congregants, Alan Shaw from Livingston.
Right.
And they went in with it. We were in locations where people would tell us, behind that row of walls, a shell hit.
Right.
Different areas, a shell hit. We went to 1 or 2 bases, and we said to them, how long from if we hear an alarm till we have to take cover? Till there's a nefilah, till there's contact from a missile. And the soldier said to us, dead face, at 5 seconds. And we had 2 sirens there before Mincha. So
that's how close you were.
That's how close we were. But you know what? If we can make that difference, there are so many people around the world that, thank God, turned to us and said, we want to help you do what has to be done. That's the bottom line, and we're contacting you for that. We just now made an order of $100,000 worth of school supplies for these kids in the South. They're starting school in a few weeks. Could be parents haven't worked. There's poverty. They've just gone through bombardments. Let them go with a new pencil case and a pencil to school. A pen, an eraser with a smile on their face.
We talk about the ripple effect of this war and how it affects everybody in this country and sometimes even people outside of Israel in so many different ways. I mean, you know, I point out that our itinerary was changed. Okay, that's nothing compared to what everyone's going through here, but everybody has, you know, a ripple effect of this war. The beginning of the school year is going to be a very challenging time for a lot of parents and families, as you just mentioned, and they're going to try to get back on their feet, and some of them, as you said, don't even have money for school supplies, if they do have the time to go and shop for it. So this is one very simple way for people to help out if they want to give to Yad Eliezer.
It is, and it's a very big need. Thank you, Nachum. That definitely is.
YadEliezer.com. That's the easiest way. YadEliezer.com. They do great work all year round. We've highlighted them before. They are one of the organizations that have really stepped it up over the last few weeks during wartime. And as you heard Yossi Kaufman say, he didn't know going in what the demands would be. You found out, and you tried to meet as many of them as possible. So whether it's coffee or board games or school supplies, which you probably didn't consider a couple of months ago that you'd be shopping for and distributing. And now you're in that business.
But if I may, Nachum,
Sure.
there are 1 or 2 bases, I don't know if I can mention,
Yeah.
down south they're almost cities, basically. And
That's how much personnel they have there, you mean?
personnel, but locations, there are structures that are dedicated to simulating an Arab city so soldiers know what they're going into. And the appreciation of these soldiers, when they would come out of their training, these commandos are 20, 30, 40 kilos on them. And all of a sudden there's this big white truck with white bags saying, hey guys, thank you so much.
Makes a big difference.
That makes a big difference, but we were able to do that in the name of so many others. There were soldiers that were calling a friend of mine in America because he, almost in tears, wanted to thank them and tell them, we're davening for you, we're learning for you, Hashem should protect you, and thank you so much.
Yossi, thank you. Kol hakavod.
Thank you, Nachum, very much.
YadEliezer.com, everybody. Check it out. We are going ahead all through the morning here at JMintheAM, speaking to representatives of organizations that are doing amazing work and have done amazing work as they've stepped things up during this war in Israel. Plenty more happening on a Thursday as we've completed hour number 1 and continue with more coming up at America's one and only Jewish Moments in the Morning radio program, heard on listeners-sponsored WFMU East Orange, WMFU Mount Hope, Rockland County at 91.9 on the FM dial, around the world on the web, jmintheam.org.